Okay, so you want to become Tai Lung. Now, I think the first thing we have to recognize about Tai Lung is, yeah, the guy has an insane physique, but his name means Great Dragon. And that's interesting, right? The film might be talking about this. I might be onto something. This is recorded the day before, but I reckon this guy's going to be the Dragon Warrior. There is no way he isn't. He is literally destined to become the Dragon Warrior. I guess we'll find out, or I'll be made fun of in the comments, and that's fine. Tai Lung is genuinely absolutely absurd. He finds a feather, he breaks out of his weird tortoise shell thing, right? Like, he literally has the power to explode this tortoise shell off of his back through pure, I don't even know, flexing or something. And bearing in mind, these chains around his arms, they're not just chains to the floor, they are chains to huge rocks that is pulling him apart. And this man has the strength to literally fight against the rocks that are pulling him. And he almost, by the way, brings us up entirely from his pure strength. Now, does he need to do it? I think he could get out like this, but he doesn't need to. You see, the thing that happens is he uses his extremely fast reflexes and combat awareness to see that as these weird kind of javelins are coming at him, he's able to angle perfectly to align the weapon with his chains. And then, of course, with his pure brute strength, is able to get the other chain off his arm. And this is what Tai Lung is so good at. His combat awareness is literally beaten by no one. He's able to immediately see what's going on around him and around his scenario and his surroundings, and he can kung fu his way out. He immediately knows the right move to make and makes it effortlessly. This man has been in prison for 20 years, and the second an opportunity is given, he takes it, he uses his dexterity, uses his speed, he escapes. This isn't some like simple prison escape. Like, this man has the entire inventory of arrows of like a 16th century army, and he doesn't get hurt by it. I don't even understand this man. He has some freaky athleticism. Like, look at this. The guy will jump from I don't even know where to I don't even know where. How do you make that jump? Who knows? But his combat awareness does not stop. He's able to swing on a chain and use the momentum to get up. This is literally a platformer where he's not even struggling to move to the next platform. This would be a really boring game if you were him. He's able to take out rhinos like it's nothing. These guys are equipped with the most armor plating possible. That's just how good his kung fu is. That's not even a part of his combat awareness. And I don't know how he built his combat awareness. I assume it's from years and years of training and years of assuming with the expectation that he has to be the best. He has to be Dragon Warrior. Can you become this? You can. You can definitely become this. Is it going to be easy? No. This isn't for the faint-hearted, and this isn't something you can just fall into. You have to be very diligent and very careful about your actions. I mean, this man is literally facing the entire rhino race. Every single rhino in existence is here to prison him. And will that stop him? No. His combat awareness is heightened. It doesn't matter if it's some weird stone falling from the sky. He still knows the exact route that needs to be taken. He can look at the TNT. He can look at the falling stones, right? He knows what to do. Sure, there are moments where he misses something, and we could call that bad luck, but it never stops him. There are some people where the second they mess up, they're going to fail instead of looking for the new route to escaping. This is what martial arts is. This is what combat awareness is. And I don't think there's anyone better to aspire to be when it comes to actually fighting. Why would you follow a guy who wins a 1v1 when you can follow a guy who wins a 1v1,000? Is it realistic to be able to do this in real life? No. But is it realistic to be able to have a level of combat awareness that if you had the same level of strength and dexterity and speed as him, you could essentially do it?
But it doesn't stop there, because then he took on his master. He took on Shifu.
Tai Lung is an egoist. You see, his entire goal, his entire purpose is to become the greatest, the great dragon, as we mentioned earlier. And now, funny thing about Master Shifu is actually Chinese for master, so this man is master. This man is master squared. Now, this did not stop Tai Lung. The second his dream was pulled up from under him, he got destroyed. And what did he do? He went onto a rampage where he started killing people, taking entire villages and destroying them. The sad thing about this dynamic, it is a dynamic between father and son. Shifu did everything, but at the same time, he made the expectations on Tai Lung so high. This is an incomplete approach. You cannot do an approach like Tai Lung did. You need to have the physique, sure, the durability, sure, the martial arts, the combat awareness, the speed, the power, but you cannot stop there. Because if you stop there and don't become a true egoist, you're going to find your life is miserable. And it is such a strange moment that actually makes Tai Lung become a true egoist. It is the fact that he gets in his pure blue egoist flames. Like, that is an absolute insane color scheme. But when he gets these flames and he destroys Shifu, he beats him to a pulp. Shifu finally reveals to Tai Lung that he was proud. That even though the expectations weren't lived up to, which were basically there from day one, he still loves his son. And it's this which actually breaks Tai Lung. And it starts to move him towards this redemption arc. Because he no longer has so much of a die-hard goal on becoming the Dragon Warrior. And he starts to realize what he really wants, and that's to become the best. And although he's still overconsumed by anger and other emotions, and that's inevitably which leads to him receiving the scroll and not being able to understand, and not being able to be the Dragon Warrior, it does mean that we're actually starting to see the flake of Tai Lung becoming the best version of himself. So Tai Lung is 6'9", and he's 400 pounds. And if you look at his physique, the guy is a beast. These aren't all images from the film, but they show his physique, and we can notice a few things from the prison fight. This man is strong, this man is durable, this man is fast, he has insane combat awareness, he has even more insane martial arts skills, and he is an egoist. However, he isn't a true egoist, as a true egoist would never had such an attachment to being the Dragon Warrior. His egoism would manifest in him wanting to be the best, not wanting to be this arbitrary thing. So let's break out into how to actually do these things. And the first thing we'll start with is hitting the weights, right? So if we want to have a strong physique, if we want to be durable, we need to be hitting the weights. And there's a few areas where Tai Lung has an overdevelopment or a focus or just an incredible look onto his frame. And that is his arms, which are absolutely huge, his chest, which again is absolutely huge, his back, which is absolutely huge. You're seeing the theme here. But he doesn't just have this hugeness, he also has a really nice V-taper. And you can see this from the fact that at the top, he's very wide, and near to the waist, he's very narrow. And this is something which is built from, one, having those really nice shoulders, having those really nice lats, but also from having a tiny waist, which is something we can achieve with hitting something like a stomach vacuum to shrink that and make sure that that's nice and tight. Now, all of these are going to be hit in the gym, and although I won't get into the specifics of like how to follow it, how to program it, because we would be lost in a huge tangent as there is so much to go over when it comes to that, you can understand that doing exercises which target these areas are going to lead to you adding mass and also adding strength to the point where you're going to be able to look somewhat close to this guy, so long as you put in the work and so long as you give it enough time. Will you be 400 pounds on 6'9"? No. Are there ways to increase your height? Yes, and that is something that I will actually get into later inside the community, because that is, again, a whole can of worms. I don't know if you guys want to sit here for an entire 2-hour video and learn about exactly everything, but that is going to miss out the fact that you're not going to have the community where you're going to be able to speak to people, able to share your wins, and also to one-on-one ask me actually how to achieve these things, how to change things if you have specific things coming into your day. You cannot fit 10 different kind of areas of fitness into one video and include all the nuance without the video without nuance having 2 hours, and without the video with nuance being 14 hours. And that is ridiculous. No one's clicking on that. No one's going to watch through. They want to achieve this physique. They don't want to spend their entire life studying. But that isn't all. There is another thing you need to do in order to become this guy, because he has power. He has speed. And these can't be achieved maximally with weights. They get enhanced with weights, but you need to be doing plyometrics. Plyometrics are a way of performing exercises which focus entirely on output, on power. This is the things that sprinters do to get fast. This is the things where a marathon runner doesn't care about. And that is exactly the sort of things that the focus of Tai Lung is going to be. He wants to have these insane strength, power, just insane kind of feats of leaps and sprints which are exiting his body. Sure, his endurance is incredible, but that isn't what makes him so special. Now, the next sort of category we have here is combat awareness and martial skills. The thing you need to remember about Tai Lung is he is a Shaolin master. He is better than anyone else, essentially, when it comes to this martial art form. He knows all 5 of the animal styles when all the other animals essentially only know one, that being the animal they are. And the kind of insane thing attached to this is the fact that he is an egoist. He isn't actually strictly abiding to these martial art forms, even though that's all he does. The reason behind this is he wants to be the best. He doesn't want to be a tool to Shaolin Kung Fu. He actually wants to use Shaolin Kung Fu as a tool, which means if he was here in the modern day, he wouldn't limit himself to that one martial art. Now, it would be likely that he would master that, but he wouldn't stop there. This guy might have 20 martial arts under his belt, not to the master level, but he will have learnt that to a level which is high enough where he can use it when he needs. Because each martial arts will have a sort of gap, something they're missing, and he will make sure that he has nothing missing, because that means he can be beaten. Like, this is a man who took a 1v1 fight with the entire of the Furious 5 and destroyed them with a high diff. No one comes close. Do you think he'd stop there? No one even comes close. But he'd still go above and beyond, man. He wants to make it as low effort as possible. This guy faced an army to leave a prison. He wants to be able to face an entire army of armies. But he is an egoist, and being the Dragon Warrior is an egoist path, but you cannot be egoist about being the Dragon Warrior. You are egoist and the Dragon Warrior appears. Now, there's a scene in the film where Tai Lung actually looks at the scroll which a Dragon Warrior receives, and in a moment where he'd actually reached a place where he was able to become the Dragon Warrior, where he'd let go of everything other than being the best, and he'd viewed the scroll, he ended up failing because he went straight into anger. He got straight into confusion as there was nothing on the scroll. He wasn't ready to become the Dragon Warrior purely because he wasn't ready to fully let go of the anger. And if he had let go of that anger, he would have seen the scroll. He would have realized that he already was the Dragon Warrior. This is something which throws him into despair. And of course he dies. But he comes back, as we all know, and please let him become the Dragon Warrior. He needs that redemption arc. He needs to have the villain to redemption arc, and I think every one of you out there should be following that same thing. You shouldn't enter this trying to be a villain. You should enter it trying to redeem yourself, because everyone has done awful, evil things, and although there's varying levels to that, everyone needs to find what their actual purpose is, and only by following that purpose can you become a true egoist, and a true Dragon Warrior, and a true Tai Lung. So sleep is a huge aspect of this too. Tai Lung, he had 20 years to rest a lot when he was in that prison. But this isn't the only thing. When Tai Lung was outside of this, he was getting regular night's sleep. This is an egoist. If he's getting less than 9 hours of sleep, someone is dying. And you need to have a similar, well, maybe not the exact sort, but you need to have that same sort of selfishness when it comes to these things. Sleep is a #1 priority. And if you're serious about reaching these heights, which can only be done by pure egoism, you need to be okay with making those sacrifices, whether that be friends or family or physical things, whether that means you never touch a video game again in your life. Sacrifices have to be made. And it's not just sacrifices through sleep, it's sacrifices through nutrition. You have to be diligent in eating the exact same things at the exact same time. Sure, there might be variance, but the variance has to fall under an umbrella of the exact sort of food you eat. Because if you're not eating the right stuff and you're training the right way, which is very, very difficult, might I add. I know I didn't cover that earlier, but it is almost impossible to train the right way because everyone tells you how to train wrong because they know nothing about training. And if you're training right, which is honestly a rare magical, it doesn't happen. But if you somehow follow someone like me and know how to train, and then you have your diet, and your diet isn't right, what's the point? You're going to make the progress which works, but you're not going to make the progress you actually want. And again, you've got to be an egoist about this. You need to put full focus into nutrition, full focus into sleep, full focus into the training. You've got to work on the martial arts, otherwise it's not going to work. And it is not easy to understand how to structure this all. It is not easy to understand your bare minimum you need to be doing and your ceiling and how to not do too much, because doing too much is a part of this. And if you're doing too much, you're actually working against your goal and you're working against being an egoist because you are self-sabotaging. And all of this is going to be explained in the school community down below. Join the Master Dojo, work out exactly how to structure this into your life, work out exactly what you need to do, follow the course we have. We have not just one on this, but we have one on how to find a mentor like Master Shifu, how to free your mind like Master Oogway. But of course, you're here to become Tai Lung.